Hey YouTube, what's up? It's me, Tronage, aka Rob, coming to you. Wish I had a catchphrase, wish I had an intro. Hey, if you got some suggestions, hey, I'm all ears. Comments below. Look, I don't waste any time even talking about comments. In fact, while we're talking about comments, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell, hit that like, hit everything, I don't care. But please do something. If you're watching my video, please. My previous video, I talked about my Hubsan 107D. My experiences with it as a first-time pilot. So what I'm coming to you today to tell you about now is what I'm currently flying, my current gear. But I'm already feeling like it's about time to upgrade again. I'm quickly learning in this sport is obviously get what you can afford and don't live beyond your means. But at the same time, don't cheap out. What I mean by that is, there's always gonna be something better, but the better your stuff is to start with, the longer you can kind of put off upgrading because your stuff's still pretty good. But if you get the cheapest of the cheap, it doesn't take too long before it's almost outdated and kind of irrelevant. Why am I saying that? Well, because I took the plunge just recently, and I purchased a Tinywhoop, an actual brand name Tinywhoop, not a clone, not a, whatever. I went on to the tinywhoop.com and sent them a couple emails. We had a good conversation. Their customer support was great. Helped me figure out, because it's a little confusing at first. If you're a first-time person going on there, you're sort of like, well, which one do I want? And essentially, I was just asking them, I'm a first-time pilot. I have a Hubsan. What do you recommend? What's the best that you got? What am I gonna not outgrow too quickly? So they recommended to me that the TWR, which was the I'm guessing it stands for Tinywhoop Racer. So I made a couple modifications to it. A lot of them are quite obvious, so I'll pull it up into frame here and you'll see. Wow, yeah, rock on! I kind of changed the color scheme up a little bit. So I'll tell you what I did to it, and then I'll talk about the unit itself. That'll be kind of like my formula. Here it is, what I did, how I feel about it, because that's what's important. First off, anytime that anyone with a Tinywhoop says, oh, you have to have that carbon fiber stabilizer on it, and I'm sure you need to, and I'm sure that's an important item to have on there. However, I didn't feel like purchasing one at the moment. And I saw a lot of Drew or Ladrib or whatever you want to call him. When he talks about Tinywhoops, he basically just prints out a little X on a 3D printer. So the only thing I didn't like is it put a lot of weight on the Tinywhoop, and it's, I'm already rocking this amazing canopy here that I 3D printed. We'll talk about that in a minute, but that adds a lot of weight, so I didn't want it to be so heavy. So I just kind of whipped up simple little cross beam member thing. So it's very thin, but because the goal is not so much, you just don't want them to bend. So it does offer good structure with this little design, but I'm sure the carbon fiber performs way better, but I didn't feel like buying it. I wanted to save a couple bucks. And then I put this rockin' canopy on there. Was little like, yeah, man, hands up. So I thought that was kind of cool. And then I changed out the props to pink, just so that it matched kind of the theme. Not sure what the theme I was going for was, but I don't know, the pink and the neon green look pretty cool. And I think the filament I used to make this is maybe UV sensitive, because this doesn't change color, but it like glows like almost banana yellow, like fluorescent in the sunlight, instead of it being just green. So I don't know what's up with that, but it makes it look even that much like more killer. When I purchased this, I opted to have the circular polarized cloverleaf as my video transmitter antenna instead of the dipole. And I also elected it for it to be like the mullet mod. I guess that's part of it being the racer style, so that the antenna is not sticking up in the air. It's out the back instead. And that's pretty much all I really did to it. It's more cosmetic than anything that the modifications that I made. But that's my little quad that I've been flying around. And here's the battery that I got for it. It's a little Tinywhoop brand battery pack. It's 205 milliamp hour. It's a small lightweight one. It's the high voltage though, so that's kind of cool. I also picked up some of these Crazepony 205 milliamp. Am I holding the right way? Yeah. 205 milliamp hour batteries. The thing that's important for this is just making sure your battery connector is the right connector. I guess before I started getting into this style of quad, there was a different connector that was smaller. And this is the bigger of the two. I forget what, JST 2.0, I don't know. I don't remember. But you just want to make sure that that's what this comes with. So you want to make sure you get batteries that have the bigger, newer connector. Some bottleneck I think was supposedly happening in the connector, and it wasn't giving the power to the quads, and that's why they weren't flying as good as they could have at the time. So that was the story, at least that I heard on YouTube. And then for a charger, I picked up this AO Coda CX610. I'll just hold it up. It looks like that. There it is. Super easy to charge your batteries. It gives you lots of options. You can plug it in here with a USB, and then you just plug this into anything that's USB. You can plug it into a power bank or whatever, and you charge your batteries. To charge your batteries, you just plug them into the top or the bottom, and they just plug in like that. And if you look here, so you can see the differences. Here's the connectors, and you see the smaller one, that's the old one. And then this so you have the ability to charge the old ones, but this also has the bigger connector for the new batteries. So just make sure you have that. So you can, they just plug in. It can charge 6 at a time. I only got 4 batteries here right now in front of me, but it has 3 on the side. And then the other one will go over here. Now the only thing is, since I've purchased this, they came out with a new version of this one. That's the, I think it's the CX610HV for high voltage, because this will only charge battery packs to 4.2 volts, because that's what a normal 1-cell Lipo goes to, is 4.2 volts. That's when this hits that number, it stops. But the battery packs I showed you were all high voltage packs, so it would be nice to have a high voltage charger. I don't know if I'm going to pick one of those up or not. Maybe I will. We'll have to see how the monies are flowing. You can charge these batteries up to their fullest potential, which is 4.35. And you get a little bit of extra flight time and stuff like that. What's also cool about this charger, if you have like a big battery, you can plug it in, instead of using USB, you can plug it in there with I think it's called an XT60 connector. And it also has a little port next to it for a barrel adapter, like a wall wart that you plug in the wall with a little round thing that you plug in as a socket. But yeah, I like this. It's easy. You plug it in, you set what your charge rate you want it to be. Usually I'm charging it around 0.2 amps per battery, just because they're 205 milliamps, so the formula is supposed to be, what I do, I don't even use a formula. I just take the 205 and I just move the decimal place 3 places over. It's 0.205. So basically 0.2 amps is a 1S charge rate, and that's what you want to charge at, because it's best for your batteries, I guess. Someone told me that once. So I charge at 2 amps and off I go. The last thing I have is my new transmitter. Well, it's not new, it's actually a little old. Picked this up, kind of used, just because I wanted something cheap, something that did the job. So I have a Spektrum DX6i. It's pretty old. I feel like it's more geared towards planes than quads, especially since I think this was, when this came out, quads weren't like a thing. Maybe they were a thing, but it only has options for like helicopter and plane. There's not even any options for like multi-rotors or anything like that. Took me a little figuring to get this programmed to fly that, but I figured it out, and I'm not gonna tell you how to do it because I don't even know how I did it, to be honest with you. But it flies, you know, it works. It gets the job done. That's the bottom line. The bottom line in this sport is get the job done. If you want to get into it, you fly what you got, you enjoy what you got, and then you see if you want to maybe get something else and upgrade and whatnot. So this is what I'm flying right now. And then the last thing, which I actually don't have with me right now, because I lent them to my cousin, which is, if you remember from my previous video, I mentioned how my transmitter was missing that red Amway cloverleaf antenna, and I said I lent it to my cousin. Well, I lent it to my cousin because it's attached to a pair of box goggles that I also picked up, so that I can, because if you notice, like unlike the Hubsan, there is no screen here. I mean, there's a screen here, but that's like for the settings of the controller. You're not gonna see the video that comes out of this. So he's borrowing my box goggles right now, and they have the antenna on them. So I've been just flying this around line of sight. However, I do have the box from the ones I have, and this is it. So the ones that I'm rocking right now are the Eachine, sorry, Eachine box goggles, the EV800. And if you notice in the picture there, up close, you see it has a dipole antenna. It just has one receiver, and it comes with a dipole. But like I said, dipoles are bad for video, so I don't use that. So I took the Amway antenna that I bought off of my transmitter from my Hubsan, and then I stuck it on top of my box goggle, and then I lent my box goggle to my cousin. So I got nothing to show you. I got an empty box. Hey, you want an unboxing? How about an empty boxing? Because that's what I got right now, is an empty boxing. So yeah, and I got a little pamphlet instruction thing that tells you the frequencies and the channels. If you're looking to find that information out, here you go. So there's all your information, what channels it does and everything. Gone over the equipment that I have and what I've done to it. Now let's talk about if I like it, don't like it, what I feel about it. Cheers. This guy's awesome. This guy's fun to fly. I would say much more fun to fly than the Hubsan. Less scary indoors. Like, you fly the Hubsan indoors, you still feel like you're gonna do some damage if you hit something. This thing, like, you could fly this into someone's face and not really worry that you're gonna do anything, you know, because the props are all inducted. It's so small and lightweight, there's no like force behind it, and it's a blast to fly around. Got really no complaints about this guy, especially, you know, I know it's not set up in a racing style, and I got a lot of weight on it with this. This thing's adding a ton of weight. I mean, every gram counts for this guy. I don't know what this weighs off the top of my head, but it's got to weigh more than the little thin vacuum formed shell that it came with. Well, this is like a 3D printed deal, but you know, this just looks so damn cool. But it's fun. It's fun as heck to fly around. But the downside is then when you bring it outside on a beautiful day, you feel like you can't move. It's all a matter of scale. Being that this is so small and you're flying it around indoors, you're in a small area. So because you're in a small area with a small drone, everything feels the correct scale. So when you fly, you feel like you're going really fast. When you bring this outside, you're flying with a very small quad in a very large area. Now all of a sudden, you don't really move in that fast. And because it's so lightweight, the wind can just like kind of blow it all around. So if it's any kind of breezy day, you're always trying to fight to fly it. What I do like about it is that the TWR version does have acro mode. You have to enter it by flipping a switch on your controller. I forget which switch it is, but it's like I think it's, I have it programmed onto this one or this one of these two. And you basically just flip it up and flip it down, and then it's in acro mode. And then you flip it up and you flip it down, and then it's in level mode. So it does have a self-level mode for when you're first starting out, and it does have a acro mode so that you can start to learn to fly that. And yes, I agree with everyone out there having now been through this. Do not, I was the why the hell am I not using level mode? Shut up about having to fly acro. I can do everything I want with level mode. Listen to me. Listen to me, person watching this video who's just getting into this sport. Try to move on to acro as fast as possible. Because now I'm in a position where I'm fighting myself, and I'm at where you hear those pilots will tell you, when you go to convert over, you're gonna be fighting yourself. That's me. I'm the poster child for that, fighting that style of flying now, because now it's like I'm flying, I wanna fly acro because I wanna do all these cool things that, you know, power loops and split S's and all these crazy stuff that you see these guys doing, and dive bombs and whatever. You want to do all that. Well, you can't do that in level mode. You have to be in acro mode to do that. But if you're so reliant on level mode to fly, then you try to go into acro mode, you're going to crash like 1,000 times. So get in acro mode as soon as you can. What you can also do, you can run a simulator. Now that I've gotten this kind of controller, once you have this kind of a controller, instead of the one from Hubsan, once you have like a Spektrum or the other brand, I think Free Sky, whatever it's called, you can then get one of these deals. I'll show you. Oh, whoa, earthquake. You get one of these deals. This is what I bought. One of these little orange dongly things. We'll do it this way, probably easier to see. Like that. This basically plugs into your computer. There's a whole bunch of simulators. Some are free, some are pay. You plug this in, you bind your transmitter to it just like you would bind to a quad, and you can fly the simulator using this transmitter. And fly the simulator. Get your feet wet with acro, because you will thank me later on. Don't rely on level mode. And I'm talking to you, person watching this. Don't rely on level mode. I don't care what you think. I'm fighting it right now, and it sucks. Get out of level mode as fast as you can. So you get this deal, you fly the sim, get into acro mode. So that's what I liked about this, is because I can fly acro mode with this. I can't fly acro mode with my Hubsan. Again, that's why the Hubsan's sitting on the shelf. That's why this is actually getting flown. The motors are great. I feel like they're starting to kind of wear out a little bit though. I've been flying them for a while. I might have to get a new set. I don't know how many hours they have on them, but I know they do have a life. Another tip, motors have a lifespan for brushed motors. Essentially the way it works, again, the how it works segment of the show, I'll use my cup of coffee. You have a part that's spinning. That's in the middle. There's not gonna be technical terms. I'm just gonna explain how it works. The stem, the core, I don't know what it's called. It turns. But there's gotta be electricity that gets to this. So there's a thing called a brush. I'm gonna use this charger as the example. The brush is touching the core. And there's a little spring back here pushing that brush against the core. And as this turns, as you can imagine, it wears away on that brush. And as it wears away, it gets pushed in more and more and more and more and more and more. Eventually, at some point, it runs out of brush. And then there's no more. The two tips are, number one, buy more motors, because these have a finite amount of flying. And I don't think it's that much. I think it's like around 6 to 8 hours of flight time. Now granted, each battery is only giving you like 2 or 3 minutes. So you're gonna have to put a lot of packs through it before you get to those, hours of time. But you start to feel it. Number two, break in your motors. I didn't know about that. So this does not have broken in motors. What does breaking in motors mean? Well, from my understanding is when they make the motors, the brushes on them are kind of squared off. But the part that's spinning is round. So you can imagine, here's a round object, and here's a square square, make my fingers as square as possible, square brush. And it's touching. You can see it, not much touches. A lot of it's missing. But as it spins and it wears the middle, it'll form a groove, and then you end up with a brush that looks like that, so that you have a curve to it, and then it's making full contact with the core. What breaking in your motors does is it makes a nice carved out brush, I should say, so that everything's all nice and happy. If you put a battery in and you start ripping around real fast, what happens is it basically doesn't work as good. It kind of screws up the whole breaking in process. It doesn't, I don't know. This could all be baloney. I didn't personally test any of this. I'm just going on what I've seen on YouTube and other videos. So I'm kind of doing the research for you, and then I'm telling you what I found. So the answer is yes, you want to break in your motors. You want to, when you first put in a fresh set of motors, you put on a battery pack and you run it at a very, 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 very low RPM. That's great and all, except, I mean, I don't know, but mine does not have any kind of USB port on the bottom. So this edition of the TWR, I don't know if they've changed it since I bought it, but this is a non-updatable, non-connectable to your computerable flight controller on this guy. So what you get is what you get, and that's what you get. So I can't hook it up to my computer. I can't change the PIDs. I can't change the flight settings. I can't change anything on it. What you get is what you get, which is, for a beginner, I think it's actually good, because you don't want to start tinkering too much. But for breaking in motors, it makes it difficult. So what I would say is just turn it on, put in your battery pack, put on your transmitter, and just raise your throttle enough just to get the motor starting to spin. Leave it like that for like 5 minutes. Love it. Love it. Tons of fun, but not so much for indoor. Love it, but I don't have the HV model of it. So I'm a little disappointed that they came out with that after I already purchased this. Batteries, of course, you gotta love them. That's what makes you fly. If you feel like you're gonna be doing this a lot, get yourself lots of batteries, because you're gonna wanna fly pack after pack after pack. One thing to mention, always check the motor temperature, feel your motors. I know this is kind of gross, but I feel like my lips are more sensitive to temperature than my fingers, so I usually touch them to my lip like this, so I can feel how warm they are, but you know, most people use their fingers. I'm just kind of weird maybe. If you feel them starting to get warm, well, how warm is warm? If you go, whoa, that feels pretty warm, then that's warm. You might want to take a break, because you don't want your motors getting hot. If your motors get hot, it can damage them. So let them cool down and then throw in some more packs. Controller, don't think I recommend this. I think it's old, I think it's outdated, I think I'm gonna have to upgrade. I don't think this is even relevant in the discussion anymore. It does its job, and it finds and flies this perfectly. But I think if you're gonna do anything further, you'd have to again get another radio. So sort of like how I was saying with the Hubsan, it's sort of a dead end. I feel if you get this in this day and age, at least this model, maybe there's a newer version of the DX6i, but this version is pretty old. It does say copyright 2010 Horizon Hobby. So it's already, you know, 7 years old or so, at least from the copyright date on the sticker. So whatever that means, I would say it's not really relevant anymore. You can't firmware update it, at least that I'm aware of. So it's just, again, what it is what it is. But it accomplished the task, and I got it relatively cheap. Go get yourself a Tinywhoop. It's a ton of fun. In this area, now that it's getting cold, you're indoors, this is the way to go. You know, you cannot beat the fun factor of this dude indoors on a cold day. So go get yourself one. And full disclosure, like I said, this is video number 2. Nobody ain't giving me nothing for free. Everything I show you, I paid for out of my own pocket. Nothing is a review sample or anything like that. This is just me helping you out. I know, you, right there. I'm watching you. I see you. You're watching me, I'm watching you, and I'm here to help you, because we're on this journey together. We're gonna find out what's the good gear for the person just starting out, and I'm here to tell you this, tons of fun. Outdoor, Stay tuned. Take it easy. Oh, and like I said, comment, please comment. I want to know what you want. I want to know what you want to see from this channel. This is a blank canvas. I'm there for you. What to do and how to get through this hobby and how to start out and where it leads you. All right, I am so rambling on right now, but I need some catchphrases. Give me some catchphrases. Give me some ideas for catchphrases. I need a catchphrase, how to start the show, how to end the show. I need an intro. I don't make intros, so hey, maybe you're good at an intro. You make me an intro. Tronage, something futuristic. I'll use it. I'll put your name up there. I'll give you credit. Hey, whatever. Cool deal. Take it easy.